South China Morning Post, 12th of November 2022. With worries about the debt trap, Vietnam is being told to get the China-backed railway project back on track and avoid missed opportunities. Vietnam is wary of China's debt trap diplomacy and how it bonds countries with debt. Also, China has tried to invade Vietnam many times in the past, so they know how they work. Every time Beijing and Hanoi have made a diplomatic statement together, the name of a Vietnamese train project has been in it for 7 years. But as of now, it has only been on the drawing board. The Lao Cai Hanoi Haiphong Railway goes from the northern border of Vietnam to one of the country's biggest seaports. Vietnam's Communist Party leader, Nguyen Phu Trong, talked about it again last week when he went to Beijing. Both sides said they would work hard to finish the standard gauge train project review as soon as possible as part of a larger plan to improve connectivity. As part of the Belt and Road Initiative, David M. Lampton, professor emeritus at the School of Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins University, says that the route will be part of the eastern line of a high-speed railway network that will connect Kunming, the capital of China's southwestern Yunnan province, to Singapore. According to Lampton, who is also co-author of Rivers of Iron, Railroads and Chinese Power in Southeast Asia, the first part of the central line to the border between Thailand and Laos has been open since late 2021. Freight and passenger traffic is growing. As the central line gets busier, Lampton, who used to be president of the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations, said, Vietnam needs to think about the chances it might miss by not connecting to this growing system and improving connectivity with China itself. Hanoi is worried about becoming too dependent on China. This economic area of China and Southeast Asia is growing and developing, and Hanoi has many reasons to be a part of it. The route was no longer considered cross-border in 2014 when the Chinese half was upgraded to 1,435 mm standard gauge to accommodate high-speed trains and connect to China's national rail network. This means that it does not match the 1,000 mm track that the French built on the Vietnamese side at the beginning of the 20th century. Since trains can't go through the border anymore, goods must be unloaded and reloaded onto another train, wasting time and money. In 2015, both sides started looking into whether building an international standard gauge for the Vietnamese part would be possible. A state-run Vietnam news agency report quoting the country's Ministry of Transport said that China agreed to give Vietnam a loan aid package worth 10 million yuan, $1.4 million, to help them do surveys and make the first plans for the line. The preliminary planning for the line, which will be 392 kilometers long, 244 miles, and have 38 stations, was finished by the China Railway Fifth Survey and Design Institute Group in 2019. The study said that the line could handle both passenger and freight trains. Analysts say that the Vietnamese's reluctance has held up further progress. Who knows how the Chinese work? Lampton also said that Vietnam is worried about the cost, anti-China feelings, losing its sovereignty, more significant global issues, and having a bad experience with the Hanoi Metro that China built. Chu Minh Thao, Deputy Director of the Center for Security and Development at the Diplomatic Academic of Vietnam, said that the Belt and Road strategy fits well with Vietnam's efforts to connect and work together on regional economies. However, there are still some problems with Chinese infrastructure projects in Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, many people are worried about working with China on infrastructure projects in many economic, political, and social ways, Chu wrote last year. The interest rates on loans from China are higher, and projects give the image of being late, low quality, and inefficient. She said there are also security concerns about relying too much on China. Chu said, Vietnam is deeply in debt to China in many areas, such as electricity, energy, and coal power plants, which have polluted the environment and made people unhappy. Lampton said Nguyen's trip to Beijing was important for politics and business. Vietnam wants to find a mix between staying close to China and keeping countries like the US and Japan interested. On the other hand, China sees the shadow of US containment getting darker and wants to protect its southern border by getting along better with Hanoi, he said. On the plus side, Beijing is trying to grow markets abroad to keep growing fast even though China's economy is growing less quickly. The last thing is that China is building a world-class railroad export business that will be one of its future strengths. In simple terms, Beijing wants to be the economic center of East and Southeast Asia. And make all of Southeast Asia your slaves.